I picked this video because this guy does a great job of going hard against deconstruction, which, as you remember, is one of the infinity stones of postmodernism.
Dan McCullen is a Bible scholar with a PhD from the University of Exeter, known for his TikTok and YouTube content, where he challenges traditional Christian views of Scripture, theology, and interpretation. Dan often talks about the presuppositions Christians bring to Scripture, those being the presupposition of univocality, which comes from belief in the inspiration of Scripture, which in turn leads to the conviction of its infallibility and inerrancy. He tends to frame this as our biggest weakness, as if believing that the Bible speaks with one unified voice somehow clouds our judgment.
There really isn't anything wrong with holding any of those beliefs. The only thing is it's a huge obstacle to positive discussions if you have to assume in order for the Bible to be inerrant, it has to be saying what you want it to be saying.
Of course, he doesn't hold those presuppositions, and that, he claims, allows him to interpret Scripture with greater clarity and accuracy. At first, I'll be honest, that got under my skin a bit. Even as a presuppositionalist, I cringed when I first heard him make these claims. But over time, after watching and listening to more and more of his work, something clicked that should have been obvious from the start. You see, Dan also has presuppositions that dictate his conclusions.
This is 100% accurate.
Dan is an unapologetic deconstructionist. If you don't know what deconstructionism is, let me try to give you some idea. Deconstruction isn't a neutral method of study. It's a philosophical stance. It begins with the assumption that there is no single stable meaning behind a text, that all meaning is shaped by human culture, language, and experience. In that framework, revelation isn't something given by God, it's something constructed by communities trying to make sense of Him.
So the thing about deconstruction is, yes, you can take that view that people in the ancient scriptures were trying to understand God just as we try to understand God today. You can also have the inerrant univocal view as well. It just helps to be open to productive discussion when you leave yourself open to those possibilities.
That's the lens Dan brings to Scripture. He doesn't start with the idea that God spoke and man recorded. He starts with the idea that man spoke about what he thought God was. From there, every conclusion naturally flows.
So like I said before, deconstruction actually allows you to take both stances if you want them.
It's not that Dan's research is in the field of proving deconstruction. He doesn't even attempt to do that. It's that deconstruction shapes what his research can even prove. That's his presupposition. And that's not a neutral one. It's a deeply flawed starting point. Deconstruction begins with the belief that meaning is never fixed, that truth is always relative to culture and language. But when you start there, clarity becomes impossible. You can't build coherence on a foundation that denies it.
It doesn't deny foundation, it just says there might be more foundation out there.
So, when Dan approaches Scripture, he isn't uncovering contradictions. His framework creates them. A worldview that assumes meaning is fragmented will naturally find fragmentation in the text. Far from making sense of the Bible, deconstruction guarantees it will never fully make sense of anything.